Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Masterson and I'll be your instructor for our seminar in classroom management this semester. And I'm so excited to meet all of you. I've heard wonderful things about you from my colleagues. And even though we're in this virtual space, I can't wait to start building some classroom community with you all and to get to know you all as individuals as well. So the intent of this video is just to show you around our Blackboard course, since that's what we'll be tethered to, for better or for worse, this semester, to walk through a couple of elements of the syllabus as well, just to make sure that you understand everything, and then also just to open a line of communication with you all to let you know that I'm here on the other end of your emails and your comments. And just to reiterate that I'm here for you, especially during this really difficult semester. So here we are on our Blackboard homepage, and this left-hand navigation bar right here is going to be really helpful. We'll start with the course information tab, which is where our syllabus is located. And I've done something kind of fancy, at least for me, in that I've taken a live Google Doc and I've uploaded it here in such a way that I hope you can kind of scroll through this monster syllabus and navigate to the information that you need. I also have it as a PDF as well, in case it's a little hard to read, or perhaps your computer or your phone, you're not able to access it this way. And I also just want to let you know that when you're scrolling through, you will see some of the formatting is a little bit off. Not a big deal, but again, we have that PDF available at the top right here if you would like to just download it and get the information that way. And so while we're talking about the syllabus, I am going to touch on a few elements of it. And I have it opened in another window that's maybe just a little bit more readable. Okay, so here we are, 505, Classroom Management Seminar. Here's my information. You are welcome to call me Jessica. I've put my cell phone here because really none of us at Washington State are going to be on campus very much at all, very regularly. So please feel free to text me or to call me. There's my cell phone number for you all. I'm also really available via email, so jessica.masterson@wsu.edu. That's where to find me. And also, every week I will maintain regular office hours. There'll be virtual office hours via Zoom, but those will be on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. and also by appointment in case that time doesn't really work for you given your own schedule. So I've included on this document a hyperlink to Washington State's Zoom account. And here is the meeting ID, 903-782-8237. That's where you can find me Tuesdays, 1 to 3 p.m. and also by appointment. So here's our course introduction. And we're talking this semester about classroom management, and it's something that I am really passionate about. Although ironically, I think management, that term, that metaphor is maybe a little problematic, and I'm excited to dig into that with you all. I like to think about it more as building a classroom culture. So rather than managing, workers, it's a metaphor from the business realm. I like to think about what we do in the classroom is really building, co-creating a positive classroom culture for our students. Here's the course description about some of the topics that we'll be talking about. I encourage you to please look at this in a little bit more depth. Right now, I'd just like to give you guys an overview. So in terms of the course structure and delivery, as I mentioned in my email, this will be mostly asynchronous. We will meet pretty much the first Wednesday of every month, and that'll change a little bit in September, and I'll go through that when I talk about the course calendar. And I've also made sure to highlight and bold all of those asynchronous or those synchronous dates within our course calendar so you can get them on your calendar and we can all be on the same page. But for the other weeks throughout the month, we will be doing asynchronous activities. So activities that you can do on your own time when you have the time within specific deadlines. We have 3 student learning outcomes for this course. And these are things that by the end of the course, I'm really hopeful that you will feel you've accomplished based on the readings, the discussions, and the assignments that we'll have. And so that first course objective is that I want you all to be able to reflect on your own view of teaching and learning and to articulate the role of classroom culture and management within that view of teaching and learning. And these are the associated assignments bracketed in parentheses here that will help us get to that course objective. Our second objective is that I want you all to be able to appraise the various interconnections of instruction, student social emotional development, community and family involvement, and culturally responsive practices as vital pieces of classroom management. And again, here are the assignments that will help us achieve that objective. And then finally, I want us to be reflective practitioners, and you'll have an opportunity to, at the end of the semester, identify a specific area of growth within the field of classroom management that you would like to work on, and you will create a toolkit, a plan to improve upon that specific area. So in terms of required and recommended course materials, we have no required texts for this class. I really wanted to ease the economic burden that I know required textbooks can sometimes place on us. So instead, we're going to draw on a lot of different things. I'll be sharing some PDFs from more typical classroom management texts. We'll also look at some research articles. I'll create handouts as we need to. It's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge, but again, I'm hopeful that the fact that there is no required textbook and there's no required cost for you to obtain a textbook will be worth it. So we'll all just be really flexible this semester. That's how it goes. I will say if you're interested in purchasing a textbook that might be a nice companion or a reference book when you're in the classroom more regularly, I would recommend this Jones & Jones text from 2016. It's called Comprehensive Classroom Management. Just throwing that out there, again, not required, and we'll read a couple chapters from Jones & Jones this semester. Because our class is virtual, access to computers, a high-speed internet connection, and some sort of a web camera are all required components. And if you don't have them, and I understand, again, this semester is going to be really wacky and wild for many of us, for many different reasons. Reach out if you will not have access to these, or if your computer crashes, let me know. There are both resources on campus that we can tap to see about getting you a computer if that's the issue. We can also look at low-tech ways of completing assignments if necessary, so reach out. I have several expectations for your effort as students, and I don't think that any of these will come as a huge surprise. The first is close and critical reading. So this is a graduate class, but it's also a pandemic. And so I worked hard when I was putting together the course calendar to not assign a ton of reading and to really scale it back, but to still maintain the rigor of a graduate course. And so to that end, I'm just asking that you do the reading. I've pared it back a bunch, and now I'm just asking you to take the time, carve out the time to ensure that you're able to read it carefully and critically, that you're able to jot notes or annotations somewhere, maybe take note of a couple questions that come to mind that will really fuel our class discussion, which is actually another expectation for student effort. Our class is really discussion based, and I think that can still happen even in a virtual environment. So you'll be in small groups for most of the semester. That's where most of the discussion will take place. And within those small groups, it's important to remember that, of course, we're not all coming from the same place, that we're going to have different views. And in fact, that's amazing. It's wonderful when we have different views. That's how we learn, right? When we encounter difference. And so I've just included a few guidelines here to ensure that those conversations are productive, those conversations across difference. In terms of late work, we have some weekly assignments, and we also have a few larger sort of summative assignments. And if you are unable to turn in something on time, just know that there's a 20% penalty for that particular assignment. In addition, I only accept late work up to 2 weeks after that initial deadline. So the deadline comes and goes, no big deal. You can still turn it in, but I won't accept it beyond 2 weeks from that initial deadline. Let me know if you have questions. Okay. Every week I will post a Monday morning minute by noon. I strive to have it by noon, likely earlier. And this is just a way for me to connect with you all to help ensure that everyone stays organized. So in these Monday morning minutes, sometimes there'll be videos, sometimes there might just be a text announcement. I will recap what we talked about the previous week. I will introduce the coming week's readings and assignments. And I'll just ensure that we're all kind of on the same page. Again, I know with online classes especially, there are so many moving parts, not to mention all that you're dealing with in your own lives. And so this Monday morning minute is just a way for me to clarify as much as possible what you need to do for the week ahead. And do I have anything else to say about that? I don't think so. Yeah, Monday morning minutes. Please just carve out time. That's what I was going to say. Carve out time on Monday afternoon to check out that announcement. They'll probably be 15, max 20 minutes a piece. Here's some guidelines about relating respectfully to others online. A lot gets lost in the virtual environment, so I have some general guidelines around politeness, around assuming the best of others, around asking questions rather than kind of shooting from the hip. And again, please take a look at these at your leisure and let me know if you have questions or concerns. All right, assignment formatting. We use APA in schools of education in social sciences. And if you're not familiar with APA, you can click on this hyperlink here. This will take you to the Purdue OWL APA resource. I want to let you know that the two pieces of APA that are most important for me when you're turning in assignments is that you include in-text citations and a reference page. So you can get really fancy with APA and, you can put a title page and you can have an abstract and all of this. I don't care too much about that. I just care about citing your sources correctly in the text and then providing a reference page. Again, let me know if you have questions. Okay, so here are some communication policies on the syllabus that I ask you to abide by. The first of which is something I call Ask 3 Before Me. So as I just said, there's a ton of moving parts in online instruction, and it's so frustrating, I understand, from the student perspective too. Like, where do I find this reading? And where do I go to turn in my assignment? And all these different platforms. I know it can get really hairy. And so if you're kind of caught in the weeds, I just ask that before you email me, look at least 3 other places for the answer to your question. Maybe that's a Monday morning minute, like a class announcement. Maybe that's the syllabus. Maybe that's the assignment tab that I'll show you where I have information specific to each assignment that I'm asking you to complete. So again, just ask 3 resources, 2 or 3, and then if you're still stuck, send me an email and I'll help you out. On that point, email is the best way that you can reach me. I have here that I'll answer emails in 2 business days. It's likely 1 business day, and it's likely like a couple of hours. Like many of you, I'm pretty much glued to my computer most of the day. But yeah, I put 2 business days just in case I'm at a conference or there's some extenuating circumstance. But if you'd like to call me, you're welcome to. I have my cell phone listed up top, and I'll return your call again within 2 business days, probably less. I typically don't answer work phone calls after 4:30 p.m. on weekdays, and usually not on the weekends either. Okay, here's the meat and potatoes of what we're doing this semester. Here are our course assignments. Okay, the first that I've listed here are the critical response discussions. So these will occur 7 times. We'll have 7 of these critical response discussions. And these will be done in small groups. You're all randomly assigned to a small group that you'll be able to access via Blackboard. I'll show you how to do that when we navigate back to Blackboard. And essentially what I'm asking you to do in these critical response discussions is to, first of all, read things carefully, read the assigned articles or media as carefully as you can, then synthesize them and critically respond to them. I'm looking for a 300 to 500 word response. Sometimes I'll give you a specific prompt that I would like you to think about and respond to. But if there is no prompt, then it's just whatever struck you about that week's readings. Maybe it was a question that you had. Maybe it was something that you heartily disagreed with or something that you really loved. The choice is yours if there's no prompt. And in terms of timeline, on those critical response weeks, I'm going to ask you to have read the readings and formulate a response posted on Blackboard by Thursday, end of the day. And then by Sunday, go back into the Blackboard discussion and respond to at least 2 of your colleagues. These responses can be affirmations. They can be extensions, like a yes and of what someone said. They can be a question. They can be a polite disagreement. All right, those are some good ways to engage rather than just like, yeah, I like what you said. Take it a little step further. I'm looking for 100 to 150 words of response for each of your 2 colleagues. I have here a rubric that I use when I'm evaluating these critical responses, and I'm looking at the key areas of critical thinking, engagement with text. Is it clear that you read and read carefully? Are you able to make broader connections to the course? And did you contribute to our community on time? So if you don't contribute on time and or you do not do the follow-up responses, you do lose points. So in addition to those critical responses, we also have 3 summative assessments. And these will occur at different points in the semester. They're somewhat evenly spaced, I would say. And there's also lots more information about each of these summative assessments on Blackboard. And in the Monday Morning Minutes, I will talk a lot more about these in much more depth. Right now, I'm going to kind of breeze over them, and I'll show you when we go back to Blackboard where you can find information about these. So the first summative assessment will be the Teaching Metaphor Project. Next, we will have a writing story. And then finally, your final project will be a classroom culture toolkit. And then finally, we do have 2 whole group discussions. The first is actually happening this week via VoiceThread, and the second one will occur at the very end of the semester, and is all, of course, listed on the course calendar. And I'll talk more about that specific assignment since it's coming up real quick, again, when we navigate back to Blackboard. But here on the syllabus are the course assignments and point allocations, pretty standard. There's nothing weighted in this class, so I just go by the point value. The point value itself is meant to indicate the weight of the assignment. Here is the barrage of statements that I need to include that are kind of common across Washington State. Here's one about academic integrity and plagiarism. Here's our COVID-19 policy, which basically says if you're on campus, you need to be wearing a mask. I think very few of us will be on campus this semester, but just know that if you do go in. Attendance policies. Attendance is kind of funky when we're talking about a virtual environment. Really, we just have those 4 scheduled synchronous sessions that I really ask you to make every effort to attend. They occur at the same time that we would be meeting face-to-face if we were meeting face-to-face. They will not go for the full 3 hours. They will likely go for an hour to 90 minutes. Still, I understand because of the pandemic, our lives are kind of haywire right now. And if you're not able to make a session, please let me know as soon as possible. And again, we'll work together to figure out how you can kind of make up that absence. Oh, I do want to talk about reasonable accommodation. When we move things online, there's a whole host of additional accessibility concerns that come to the fore. And I'm really interested in making this class as accessible and as navigable as possible. So of course, if you are a student with a documented disability, by law, that is my job. But even if you do not have a documented disability, if there are aspects of the course that you're not finding accessible, please let me know. I would be really interested to hear your perspective, and I am very committed to working to ensure that you're able to access and participate in the class to the fullest extent. Okay, recording sensitive topics. This is a new statement, hot off the presses. And please read it carefully. The gist, though, is that when we're in online environments, we're asking you not to record your peers and then do nefarious things with the recordings. I will be recording Zoom sessions for those synchronous meetings. But the idea is that is an academic use, right? That there's an academic purpose behind recording. So any non-academic purpose is prohibited. Okay, additional information, inclement weather policy. There is a food pantry on campus. Maybe some of you know about this. And if we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs as teachers, we know that if you don't have those basic needs met, it's real hard to do graduate level work, right? So again, if you're facing any sort of insecurity, whether it be food or shelter or utilities, let me know. There are some resources here that I've included in this statement. You're also welcome to reach out to me though, and we can figure something out. All right, and then the last part of the syllabus is the course calendar. And I'm actually going to navigate away and go back to our Blackboards to show you where you can find this course calendar there. Okay, here we are, back in our Blackboard course. So, course information is the syllabus. Right below course information is content. This is where you can find the course calendar, in addition to on the syllabus. But rather than have those like individual folders week by week, I've tried to lay it all out right here. Once again, we have a Google Doc that I've embedded such that you can scroll through it. And I've included a PDF of this as well, if that is helpful for you. The reason I do it this way, and we're trying it out this way, is because when we just have those little folders, it's hard for me to remember what week was what. And if I'm looking for a specific reading, I can go through 10 folders and not find it. So my hope is here you can just navigate across weeks. You can, go back and forth between readings as you need to. And I think that will be really helpful as we dive into some of the assignments that ask you to make some cross-curricular connections. So as you can see, there are a lot of hyperlinks here, and there are more to come as well. And when you click on these, like so for instance, this week I'm asking you to read an article by Lisa Delpit. When you click on this link, it takes you to a Google Drive folder, and you have the option to download it from there if that's, again, easier for you. Every assignment is hyperlinked as well. So when you click on VoiceThread introductions, for instance, here's the assignment description for that. This tells you all the stuff that I am asking you to do for this first assignment of ours. Also, you can use the back and forward buttons on your browser to go back to the previous document. I figured that out recently. There are some hyperlinks, as I mentioned, still to come. So just look for those. Those will be up certainly in time for you to access them for that week's classes. And I think that this is set up pretty intuitively, but again, if it's not, you can let me know. So for this week, your instructions are to read the syllabus carefully, read that Lisa Delpit article, and then we have our VoiceThread introductions. And I will talk about these a little bit more. Let me just show you the rest of Blackboard. Okay, so course information, got it. Content, got it. Now assignments. So this is sort of a shortcut. If you're ever curious about like what assignments are coming up, this is your sort of one-stop shop. You have folders for each of the different assignments I'm asking you to complete. And within each folder is the link to the assignment description telling you more about it, as well as where I'm asking you to submit it. So in most cases, it's you'll just submit it individually through Blackboard. In the case of our first assignment, though, it is a discussion style assignment. It's a whole class discussion. So I've linked you here to that particular discussion forum. And here it is. Back on the left, remember, if you recall from the syllabus, I'm asking you to write 7 critical response discussions. And I've put you into small groups just randomly. Here is that shortcut for you to get right to your small group. When you click on this tab over here, you'll be directed immediately to your own group. You can click on the hyperlink there, and then group discussion board is where you want to go. I've listed all the critical responses here. If I have a prompt in mind, I will update these so that you'll see the prompt at the top. And you can know that that can be your reference point. Discussions, that's a shortcut for our first and last discussion, both on VoiceThread. I've also included at the very bottom just an open forum. If you have questions, feel free to write them there. And colleagues, if you see that someone else in the class has actually written a question that you know the answer to, feel free to chime in and share the response. All right, so that's Blackboard. And the last thing I want to talk to you about are these VoiceThread introductions. So when you go to assignments or our course calendar, there are multiple ways to get there. Here's the assignment description. And I'm asking you to create a VoiceThread, and you'll upload it, you'll share it with us on that discussion forum by this Thursday, August 27th. And I'm asking you to leave 2 follow-up comments, questions, affirmations, etc. by Sunday, August 30th. So watch at least 2 of your colleagues' VoiceThreads and leave some feedback there. And here are the prompts I'm asking you to respond to: your name, your pronouns, desired content area / grade level, hobbies or interests, and what is your definition of classroom management. So you'll create a VoiceThread responding to all of these. And I want to take you to VoiceThread really quickly just to show you how to share it. So here we are. This is the VoiceThread sample that I created. And I'm just going to navigate to the left, the top left over here, and I'll click share. Apparently we have a basic membership, so we only have a couple of options. So you can copy and paste the link into the discussion forum. That's totally fine. Bonus, and kind of high tech here, we can embed the video so it's a little bit easier for everyone to see. So I'll click embed, and you get this big long code. All you need to do is press the button copy embed code. Done. And then we'll navigate over to our discussion board. So here it is, our VoiceThread introductions. You'll create a thread. And then here, you have to put a title, introduction. And so with that code that we've copied, what you need to do is go to this HTML button. It may not be immediately available, in which case you might have some down arrows that you need to click in order to expand the toolbar. So HTML, we will paste the code, click update. You'll see this yellow box that isn't very reassuring, but you just have to have faith and trust that it is indeed there. And then you can just scroll down and click submit right here. And then you'll notice that your video is there after all, and it's a little bit easier for folks to access because it's embedded right into your response. They can easily reply here if they'd like to. So again, that's just a little tip, and as we create more videos, that might be something that comes in handy, that embed code. So thank you all so much for your time. This has been a really long video. I promise that most will be half this long. I appreciate your time and attention, and I'm so excited to work with you all. Stay safe.